To welcome everybody and thank Natasha for hosting this, and I just wanted to let everybody know that we are going to have we have made some donations for the presenters and for Natasha in their name to NC-WIT, which is the National Council of Women in Technology. It's something I am incredibly passionate about. It goes along with diversity and inclusion, and so we thought that was a good way to participate in it, right? And then the other thing I just wanted to tell everybody is that I am going to be wrapping up at the end of the day, and one of the things I always think about when I come to a conference like this is to have, if you can take 3 things away that you can go back to the office with, then it's been a successful day. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to give you my 3, but hopefully people will think of their own as well. And with that, I just wanted to introduce Natasha Stough, and I also wanted to give you this as a gift.
Thank you. Well, very sweet. Thank you, Faith. As Faith said, my name is Natasha Stough, and I oversee our America's Campus Recruiting efforts at EY, and wanted to formally welcome you to our Hoboken office. This is one of several locations, but this is actually one of several offices around the world that we've differentially invested in from a training and meeting space standpoint. So these are actually state-of-the-art facilities that are actually designed as part of our workplace of the future, and thinking about how people work, how folks engage, our training and development of our talent, which is obviously extremely important to EY. So welcome. I do have a few logistics because I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't share a couple of logistics. So we are in here for the day with Stephen, Faith, and the team. And then we'll have food and snacks and everything just right out in the foyer. Ladies and men's room is out the door to the right on either side of the water fountains. Let's see, I have my other logistics. We have actually the floor, so if you go to the right or left and go around in a circle, there's plenty of seating for lunch, tables, and there's beautiful views of the city and the Hudson River. So we're not just in this spot. You can go to other parts of the 8th floor. If you do go into the elevator bank, you need someone from EY and an EY badge. So please come and find me, and we've got a few other folks from EY if you need to get to another floor. We do have a coffee shop at on the 6th floor, because I know Gen Z loves their custom curated coffees designed for you. And here you will get just a cup of coffee. But if you need a curated custom coffee made to your liking or some snacks, you can find the coffee shop down on the 6th floor. So just let any of us know if you need anything there. And then just a few comments on our topic today. When Stephen had reached out and asked us to consider hosting, I said, first and foremost, we're happy to welcome, colleagues, friends. We are all in this journey together. And while many of us have been driving really comprehensive diversity and inclusiveness strategies, it's not easy. There's a tremendous amount of challenge, and we're moving the needle, but it's gradual. What I do love is that, again, we're all in it together, and I also appreciate that we're really expanding really what diversity and inclusiveness means, right? And how we think about attracting such different talent, right? Whether it's neurodiversity, the LGBT community, it's really expanded. And personally, Faith, similar to your passions, I love what many of us are doing to attract, engage, and promote women so that they are really moving up the ladder at the same rate as our male colleagues. So I have a tremendous amount of passion around that. So thrilled to welcome all of you. Look forward to just a wonderful day together, lots of chatting and networking and challenging one another, and some really good dialogue. And thank you for this and for the donation. That means personally a lot to me and obviously to EY. So thank you all, and welcome. Anything you need, please just come and find me or any of the team from EY. And Faith or Stephen, shall I turn it back to you? Wonderful. Thank you, Stephen.
Thanks. And so Natasha has a Starbucks card so she can get her personally curated cup of coffee. So the first lie of the day is it's not just Gen Z that likes their curated coffees. There may be a Gen Xer up the front that also does. So yes, thank you so much to our hosts, Ernst Young, for this, for opening up their space. One of our very first events was, I think, 7 or 8 years ago. At the time, Dan Black was kind of in Natasha's role, and he welcomed us into the Times Square space. It was a great day. You can still see videos. I like to think of myself as looking more like I did then than now, but that's another story for another day. The catering also, the coffee, the snacks, the lunch, that's courtesy of our folks from Ernst Young. So if you love it, tell them, and if you don't, it's from one of their competitors. Alio, where's Ankit? There he is, back there. So Alio is the sponsor of the live stream. You can watch it when you get back to the office. So Ernst Young has provided us with notepads and pens. Take notes if you want. Actually, you should. But if your colleagues want to watch, right now, or start it delayed later today, or watch it 3 days or 3 months from now, you can do it. It's on our YouTube channel. And there's a link to it on the slides, and you'll see the link multiple times during the day. Peter Clayton, who's the guy with the headphones on, is doing his best Mickey Mouse impersonation, and Jolie Kinga over here are the videographers for the day. There'll be an opportunity during the breaks at lunchtime if anybody wants to sort of grab them and do like a little 3-minute or 5-minute kind of video. This is what our organization does, and this is how we're working to promote diversity and inclusion. Talk to them because that would be an easy way to get some good PR. You don't have to hire a camera crew. We've already done that. Actually, Alio has already done that. Thanks, Ankit. Actually, I think Ankit's going to be doing a talk a little bit about sort of how Alio helps its clients with some of their diversity and inclusion efforts. The 4 requests for the day. For those of you who are active on social media, for those of you who have not yet done so, just put your phones to silence. It's the days where we ask people to turn off their phones or pagers, thankfully, are long gone. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever, use the hashtag CR Bootcamp. In our Twitter feed, that'll be curated. The format of the day, we're going to have 3 presentations, each of which will be 20 minutes, sort of like a bit of a TED Talk kind of format. And then the person who does the presentation becomes a moderator, and we'll have 4 panelists up here. 1, 2, 3, 4 chairs. That makes sense. And then so the moderator will then ask the panelists some questions to sort of dig in a little bit deeper on their presentation. What's going to get really interesting is when you start to make interruptions. And you stick up your hand and it's like, I hear what you're saying, that's not the way that we do it at our organization, or hey, we did that in a different way, I disagree, I agree, whatever. But there are, I think, about 125 people who bought tickets for the event. We've probably got about 115 of you so far in the room, and I bet you 115 of you, all of you, are experts in at least several areas that we're going to be talking about today. So share. During those panel conversations, it will be really, really interesting if the people up at the front of the room are sort of become the attendees, and the real conversation is going to happen out here. Faith is one of the things that she's going to be doing today. I think she mentioned, I encourage everybody to do the same thing. If you can walk out of the event today with 3 actionable items, then I think that the day is a success. Whenever we go to conferences, and we go to more than our fair share, whether it's a 1-day or a 3-day event, we try to come back to the office with 3 items that we're going to put into action. Not just things that are interesting, but things that we're going to go to a boss about, a coworker about, whatever, and try to put that into place. We do try to be green. So when you leave, if you just want to like drop your lanyards, and then we will recycle those. So I'm just going to kick off with a very short overview to help ensure that we're all sort of on the same page about what we're going to be talking about today, because diversity and inclusion means different things to different people. I'm not going to try to force my opinion on yours. That would be pretty inconsistent with diversity and inclusion. We all have different definitions. We all think about it differently. Every organization thinks about it and acts differently, and it can change month to month or year to year. And that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. There are some sort of broad strokes that I think that some people will talk about when in terms of what's the difference, what is diversity versus what is inclusion. And what it kind of boils down to from what I've heard from most people on that side of the podium that know a lot more than me is that diversity kind of boils down to the what. What is your gender? What is your race? Do you have Asperger's syndrome, et cetera. And inclusion is more about what the organization does. It's sort of the how do we work together? How do we collaborate? How do we make sure that everybody has an opportunity to be part of that decision making? SHRM has a couple of definitions, bless their hearts, and they're longer than I want to read. But they're here on the slides. They're good. I'm not being critical, but if SHRM didn't have a couple of good definitions, that would be a problem. They should. I can be a pretty visual person. I think this is a good representation. The fact that you have a whole bunch of people who are diverse in one way or another, if they're not working together, that's not inclusive. And so, you can have, one of our customers years ago had a pretty sales-heavy organization. I think it was an insurance agency. And every single person that worked there came out of the same fraternity. Well, guess what? They were all male, pretty much by definition. And that fraternity was pretty much all white. And they wondered why they didn't have any women or African Americans or even from a different school. I mean, they all went, their names were probably all, Bubba or whatever. It was like everybody was kind of the same. And talking to them about inclusion was premature because they weren't yet diverse. And so until they had some people in their workforce who weren't essentially carbon copies of each other, it was a little bit too early. Fortunately, the people that we were working with, they recognized they had a problem. And just like in any good 12-step program, that's the first thing you need to understand. This is another slide that I really, really like. I've actually shown this to people in my family who have somewhat different views than I do about this. They're more on the equality slide. And I think that the equity slide really helps to portray it. And my vertically challenged wife sees herself over on the right, and I see myself more on the left. Sorry, Faith. I was saying at the beginning of this that years ago, 7-8 years ago, when we had one of our first events at EY's office in Times Square, one of the things that Dan Black said to me then was he was explaining why diversity and inclusion is so important to EY. And in addition to it just being the right thing to do, he made the point that it's also the smart thing to do. And I don't know if he used those words, but he was talking about study after study after study show that a more diverse and inclusive the workforce, the more productive is that workforce. And I thought that was an incredibly smart way of communicating the value to the C-suite. We're going to have a presentation today about how the CIA has promoted its diversity inclusion efforts and got buy-in from the C-suite. And if an organization like the CIA can do that, then just about anybody in corporate America can do that. If you've got the data, if you've got the studies to show it, then that's going to help you sell that to your leaders.